Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey, and welcome to the flagship YouTube production of Eric Von Wade Life360 today. I'm going to ask you, what do you think's wrong with some people? They say this is a general question, but what is it that makes people have such an inability to act appropriately? I've had my theory for some time, and for those of you that are new to this, we're on our morning drive to work and taking you with us. And of course, then we'll get to one of the best, maybe not today, but usually one of the best sunrises that you're going to find anywhere in the world, here in Corpus Christi, Texas. And as we have a nice, smooth commute with no real traffic to worry ourselves with, I have to tell you, it is a dark morning. Very dark here. We've had some cold weather. And where else can you go for temperatures as low as ridiculous in the single digits with the wind chill factor to now it's going to be 79 degrees here in Texas, Corpus Christi. So thank you for those of you who've joined us, and as we navigate through traffic as a priority, I'm asking you, do you think that it is just a self-centered, egocentric problem that creates such a predisposition for causing unrest? This is my conclusion. It could be general angst, irritation, the variety of problems that everyone has in the world today. Those things could be behind it. But one of the things that I would ask you is, had you thought about this? Is there a theory somewhere rattling around in one of your heads as to why it is people seem to act in ways that cause unrest? It's the best description of it that I've seen, and I borrowed that from a Monty Python skit. I believe it was Eric the Half a Bee. Could be the other. The dead parrot. Guy sold him a dead parrot. The guy doesn't want to take it back at the pet store, and he keeps intentionally being deflective, obtuse. He keeps missing the point, and finally the guy, one of the Monty Python characters, that was at his wit's end of frustration, trying to explain something to a guy that was clearly trying not to get the point. He said, "You're what causes unrest." I thought it was a good summation of the situation. So we're going to look at that as well as a number of other things, but I have to tell you, the education of the YouTube experience was something new. And there are a ton of advantages to going to YouTube, but I will have to say that, there was a built-in invitation to join in the Facebook Live, but it was clear. People, again, I'm not as frustrated as I once was with the fact that some people think you're crazy when you tell them that Facebook is not so detached and impersonal, that everything is being operated by automatic, trigger when certain things happen. But clearly, one thing that is being denied, and I don't see how there is any denial of this at all, but it seems that there is. Maybe no one wants to actually make the accusation, but Facebook is definitely utilizing a restriction or something to curtail your success in organic exposure, organic growth, the moment that you start to see some success. We had 7,700 live views during one particular Eric Von Wade Live360, and I called it Eric Von Wade Live360 for lack of a better term, but it seems it's stuck, so I'm going with it. And at that moment, all of a sudden, then they began to incrementally increase the amount of restriction that they place on you. Maybe some of you have seen this too. Facebook Live was mistaken by me to be as presented, something that would be there and that would be treated the same throughout your duration. That's not really how it works, though. They help to encourage and notify people the moment that you go live, especially if you're not competing against a number of other people at the same time. 6 to 9 in the morning, there's not a lot of competition. So they work as diligently as you might like in notifying all your friends or all the others that you have contact to that you're on live. Then, again, when you reach a certain point, they want you to start buying or boosting that. And if you don't do that, then they continue to make it more and more difficult, to the point in which, as I open up another business that also has disappointed me greatly, I have been, a a friend. It's almost like you've had a partner in life if you had Facebook, and since 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. I think I started in 2008. I may have had one before that, and then started over again and created a new one. And because I had MySpace before that, I almost feel like I'm admitting to wearing bell bottoms or something ridiculous. But I had a MySpace before that. Somewhere out there, unless they killed it, there probably is still a MySpace for me. But that experiment may come back as something more relevant, as Facebook seems to be incredibly aggressive in running people off. I mean, I've been a conservative since birth, and I hadn't really run into any political issues with Facebook. I had them, they wanted you to pay for everything recently, but prior to that, it was organic growth. I've had 5,000 friends or floating around that for a number of years, and it was just kind of amazing to me that all of a sudden now, when part of my live stream, I open up an importing business, manufacturing partnership in Pakistan, and I'm selling knives, that knives would be treated as if they were some sort of contraband. In fact, actually, knives are treated with greater prejudice by a lot of social media, but in particular Facebook, than drugs, which I just find astonishing, because there's so much of the world that utilizes knives for everything. I mean, it is still a legal, lawful product, has been. This is the United States of America. For God's sakes, we live in Texas, where we just passed a law to eliminate the confusion and the insanity with what length blade should you carry, what's legal, what is it, when all we really want to do is stop criminals from doing the criminal stuff that they do. So we passed a law, I didn't even know it was coming, and that's coming from me, that made it legal for you to openly carry swords. So that means openly. I don't know where you'd hide a sword. I mean, I suppose there were some people who found themselves uncomfortable while making a stop as an officer of the law, asking, is that a sword in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? But either way, the reality is we can do that now. And not that a lot of people are doing it, hence my prediction when I heard about this. I doubt we're going to have a lot of people carrying swords. But what it did stop was law-abiding citizens from inconsistently being subjected to fines or tickets because a police officer was upset with their speeding or whatever it may be. And criminals still can get in all sorts of trouble for carrying any kind of a weapon, not just a knife. So, although many people in other states have been conditioned to accept the paradigm or the worldview of the laws in that particular state, if you could stop for a moment, relax, and think about it logically, I believe that you'll probably find that there's a lot of common sense in that. Why do you want to punish people who are not criminals for having a tool with them that can be used for self-defense, and it can also be used for a number of other things, useful, daily needs? The knife is a tool. Scissors are two knives put together. And so I don't know why it has become such a challenge for people to use a little practical knowledge, common sense, instead of assuming that everyone is a criminal waiting to happen. All they need to do is to have a knife, apparently. That seems to be the mentality. If you just have a knife, then you can commit just about any crime, and you will want to because you have it. It's the same kind of mentality they put out about a firearm. And, it's frustrating to me because, here's America, where we're supposed to be the home of the free, land of the brave. I got it backwards. Land of the brave, home of... Yes, it's early, and I'm trying to park without driving off the edge of this parking lot, because this is the highest, I believe, the highest parking garage elevation in Corpus Christi, Texas, and so we have quite a view. But that's what is wrong with people in that they would want to stifle legitimate, law-abiding citizens and their ability to operate a business, to grow and have success, to contribute to the tax base, create jobs. It's almost as if some people do not want to see anybody have a success that disproves an emotional position that they've taken up because of, I guess, some sense of empathy or pity. And I think that's the sad state of affairs, is that we base too many opinions in this country on this concept of how we feel. And like I've said numerous times, it is not how you feel that matters. It is only what you do. And I'll continue to reiterate that because I think a lot of people need to think about that for a moment while I set this up for us so that we can see a great view, because maybe we will have a pretty sunset. We certainly have a beautiful view out there tonight. And this is, I'll turn off the interior light here for you. For those of you new to all of this, this is gorgeous Bayfront, Gulf of Mexico, city of Corpus Christi. And if you would please, share this broadcast however you can. Still learning exactly how you do all of that with YouTube. I'm a little bit new to YouTube, and I know certainly you need to subscribe and encourage people to subscribe to this if you would. It's a little red button down at the bottom. I've been doing Facebook Live with a pretty significant and loyal following that I'm very much appreciative of. And let's see, Norma Boone wants to start sharing. All right, cool. Well, I don't know how to exactly help you to share while we're broadcasting live, but I'll figure it out, I'm sure. Oh, there's all sorts of different themes and whatnot that we can do in this. That's pretty cool. Appreciate the thumbs up, by the way. The more likes and other cool stuff that you can do, the more I appreciate everything that you're up to. I don't know where I would share this to. I guess I could share while I'm doing this and talking to you live. So yes, we can share it on Facebook for those of you that I guess want to get in on all of it, and I'll do that. Man, I guess that boy, they've got some very cool things going on, and I'll go ahead and I know that they will not allow me to tag anybody in this because they stopped doing that on Facebook as well. But at least it is shared, and so yeah, I'm enabling the flash. Whoa, that is a big flash. All right, some of this, I'm sorry, it'll be my first broadcast, so bear with me because I've got a lot of good things to talk to you about. This show is one in which I think you'll want to come back, you'll want to check stuff out, and I'll tweet it as well. So that way, if anybody's following me on Twitter, I'm on fading stuff on some of the social media, and why not be like YouTube, where they allow organic growth and they benefit from that as you do. So it's a mutual beneficial situation. I mean, for the life of me, I don't get it. Seems like it would behoove them, and what a great deal, and all of that concept. So share to Facebook. Thank you very much. I appreciate it all. All of you, share this to your Facebook if you would. That would be the greatest stick in the, and encourage others to do the same thing. The greatest stick in the eye, I guess you could say, to what I think is just real plain dishonesty. I mean, I have written and expressed my desire to utilize Facebook, to truly engage in paying them for their assistance at some point here as I was getting going. But I guess the double whammy for me is when I opened a cutlery business and manufacturing, truly hoping to, and also, I believe, doing some of the great good in unifying two countries. And, I mean, Pakistan and the United States, we certainly could improve our relations. And then, at the same time, creating jobs, making money, all sorts of other great stuff. But for some strange reason, that is not motivation at all, or in any way a factor in the minds of those who are strangely, sadly, in a desperate and hopeless pursuit of being considered important, that are manning the helm at Facebook. It is a tragedy. I almost want to keep doing the show from out here because, man, in a little bit we will have I think a great sunrise. I could be wrong, but if I'm not wrong, then we'll have like the best vantage point. And we can talk about a few things while we're doing it. So maybe I'll do exactly that. And no need to rush off. I've got a light in here and a few other things. Camera, sword, firearms. It's Texas. For those of you who believe in Texas and freedom, don't let the bad guys win. I say that. Share this on Facebook. Of course, you know that they'll only allow a few people to see it, if that, as soon as they catch it. I've shared things with hundreds of people on Facebook before. Never did I ever have them say, you're going too fast. Or, which again, how do you not go too fast? I'm all about, okay, let me know what the rules are up front. I'll follow those rules, whatever those rules are. But with Facebook, they don't tell you exactly what the rules are. What is going too fast? I have no idea, because they won't tell you. Like, clock me, tell me, like, don't go over 50 miles an hour. And I won't go over 50 miles an hour if I'm really afraid of getting a ticket. But unlike our speeding laws or whatever it may be, they don't let you know what that is. That's my frustration. And then there is a point in time where you get an arrogant response from someone who clearly has this, attitude of, we're going to make you do whatever it is we want to make you do. We're not going to tell you exactly what you can do to avoid it. Just change what you're doing and just be, it's not specific. Consistency and the law and every other advertising medium requires that you have some degree of transparency in order for people to understand what it is they need to do. If you have unfair business practices because they're inconsistent, you create problems and you create unrest and frustration. There's enough stuff to get unrest, frustrated about. Look, we've got cancer, there's AIDS, there's, everything else under the sun. There's no need to create additional harassment because you're advancing a political agenda over that of a stringent business practice. And I would think that the liberals who are, and again, I know I may have liberal friends watching, and I appreciate that. It's always great. But you would think they would appreciate this because they were most upset, it seemed, as a block of polarized political voting and thinking, that, it was wrong for somebody to deny making a cake for a lesbian wedding, as an example. So, because if you validate the right to refuse that service, the argument was, you'd be able to refuse and discriminate on an unfair basis on other things. Most notably, the example would be to discriminate against people who are of a minority status, religion, foreign country, all those protected areas, which I'm sure there will be more added to as life goes on. Excuse me, early morning throat. But with that said, all of a sudden now there's this huge inconsistency. If you have a legal, lawful product, and I don't see how, not in the United States of America, they may have had knife control, which they do in Great Britain, but it's not, there's still tons of people in Great Britain that I know of, a lot, let's put it that way, and they feel that it's very common as a practice to hide knives, firearms, swords, and other such things that they've had in the past. So that's what they do. And yes, Brian Trammell, thank you so much for being there this morning. And indeed, please share this on Facebook. It tells me when you do, which is awesome, and I love to see that because Facebook certainly wanted to stop me from being a part of it, and I'm sure that they will, they'll make your post only be seen for a short period of time, but that's still better than nothing. Anybody that actually goes to your page would see it, and that makes you part of the Von Wade Brigade. Also, I'd like to say this. If you're on one of my, the Facebook group, Von Wade Brigade, that's there for notices, not communication per se, because if you use it for communication, then everybody in the group gets messaged. And the problem with that is that it becomes incessantly irritating. So reserve it only for something to put out to everyone. If you want to have a discussion, you can leave that as a notation at the bottom of your post. And then people can discuss it with you directly. Or if somebody wants to discuss something directly with an individual who's posted something, go to that individual outside of the group. That way we can maintain as large a number as possible without having people driven off because of the irritation that frequent messages and pop-ups tend to bring. So I certainly understand it because I've had that happen to me before. And I got a message here. I was going to check out who this was. All right, cool. Jane gave me a thumbs up about the link. I sent an invitation to join because I finally found out where, and now I got to figure out how to get rid of this because I can't do it. I finally figured out how to send an invitation to join the YouTube channel, and I sent that out, and they let me do it for a while until all of a sudden they found out I was doing that, and I think once they noticed that the invitation was to another channel, then that kind of put the kibosh on any allowing that, and they said that I was being blocked for offensive. It was offensive, is what it was. Offensive or abusive content. I guess to them it probably would be. I got a little chuckle out of that. Offensive or abusive content because on Facebook I was sending out a message inviting people to watch my YouTube channel. Which, I mean, quite honestly, I'm kind of amazed that they allowed me to do at all, or allow anybody to do at all. But if they do, and these are 5,000 of my friends, I look at it like this. Social media, don't say that you have your followers or your friends. Don't put any, and then don't give any rules to abide by, hard and fast, like you can only send messages to 20 people a day at a time, or within an hour, or whatever it is that you want to do. And then come in subjectively when you don't like or approve of the content. Now I'm on their radar because I have a cutlery business at ArmoryOutfittersUSA.com. ArmoryOutfittersUSA.com. And we sell the best quality knives, sheath knives, folding knives soon to be offered as well, jewelry and other things. Damascus steel is something we specialize in from Wazirabad, Pakistan. I have a partnership in the finest manufacturing facilities in all of Pakistan, which is completely different than anything you've seen before. In fact, most people have an image of quality from Pakistan that is based on copycats and other people who are imitators or imposters that are ripping off the designs of my manufacturer and then offering it as some legitimate product in its own right. It's not, and you cannot trust the quality, especially in the knife, unless you're getting it from Armory Outfitters USA. Full tang design and strong Damascus steel we specialize in. Stainless steel, Damascus steel, D2, one of the hardest steels that's out there, and a number of others. But they are fine craftsmanship, equal or better to anything that's out there. In fact, I don't think there is any equal, which is hence the reason why I say there is no equal. When you come to the full design, construction, battle-ready nature of them, I use the term battle-ready because it's probably the best description of something that is rugged tough, is as tough as it can be made. And unless we find vibranium or another steel, I forget what it was that Wolverine had his skeleton coated with, if you're a fan of Marvel Comics, the metal in Wolverine for the claws, was an attempt at copying the shield material for Captain America. So it wasn't as good, but it became the second best metal in all of existence. So if they find something like that, then there may be a best. But as it stands now, it's Armory Outfitters USA. And we're offering such a wide variety of things, too. We have some leather jackets soon to come. So as a capitalist, entrepreneur, living in what I think is not just the greatest dream of America, but probably for most people around the world, since they fight tooth and nail to get to this country from all over so that they could start a business, so that they could have a life and a dream that they weren't able to have anywhere else, especially in their home country. They are willing to give up everything that they have, their family, their culture, their country, in order to come to the United States of America and be a success. That's pretty impressive. And you would think they would respect that. But let's see. I have a comment here from Liz Hawkins. The knives you're selling are high quality and absolutely beautiful. Having trouble choosing the second one because they're all so nice. Shame on Facebook. It's their loss. I agree. And here's the thing. When you're doing right and you have your moral compass and character set on high, I got to turn my light back on before so I disappeared. Then what happens is the people who try to hinder you, who try to stop you, actually will end up helping you. A lot of people don't believe this. It sounds too good to be true, but I can promise you it is not. The reality is when you have your stuff together and you're doing what's right, and that's your purpose and your intent and your commitment, the only way to do it for you, when people try to stop you, they actually help you. And it is absolute true. If you believe in the Bible, it's in the Bible. If you are an observant individual and you've lived long enough, you've seen it happen. If you think back, I've had one of the worst possible, situations you could imagine from somebody who was intent on absolutely destroying me. It's a mental illness, but nonetheless, by the time you discover all this, it's a little too late. You're already knee deep in it. And in the most amazing way, it has actually created a greater success on my part and pushed me to a point in which, once you've had real, I say by definition, evil done to you, it turns the volume down on a whole bunch of other stuff that used to be a distraction. Without that distraction and with a whole new lease on you got nothing to lose life, it really is an amazing thing what you can do. So Facebook, it's disappointed. It really is. Because it was like a best friend of yours. It's like, et tu, Brute? You too, Brutus. It's what Caesar reportedly said when Brutus also was a part of the assassination plot and stabbed him in the back there on the Senate floor, leaving him to die. And it was, of course, something that Brutus couldn't live with himself over. And as a Stoic, part of the religious group that he belonged to, believe he swallowed fire, or Portia, his wife, swallowed fire for sure. I mean, it'll kill you in a slow, painful way, but because they're Stoics and they show no pain, it was part of the, part of their self-life-ending practice to choose a means by which most people would scream out in pain, and they would show no emotion for that. That was their whole goal in life, was to be a consistent, steady. And I mean, to me, I'd rather laugh and have some fun. I often wonder if Brutus ever laughed, but probably some accounts of Stoics living it up somewhere, and yet winning any poker game because no expression. No expression. Anyway, so as we look at this, boy, the sun is not rising as quickly as it usually does, it seems, but it should be coming up sometime soon. I wanted to show you the sunrise. For those of you who haven't been a part of this is, I've had 24 years of broadcasting experience. I thought I was going to quit talk radio and go into just social media marketing with this whole new lease on life, and with the belief that, I keep saying this too, no matter what it is, if you want to be a success, you need to make a plan. You have to write it down. As they've studied time and time again, they being psychologists and the people who study social sciences, that if you write down goals, commitments, principles, your New Year's resolution, which I'm sure some people still haven't gotten into, what you'll end up finding is that when you write it down, it actually leaves an imprint in your mind that will cause you to begin to put that into action, or put that into action in ways that are much more connected, cohesive, fluid, and in short, they're easier than the forced efforts that we may create for ourselves if we don't write it down, or even if you type it. Typing it does not create the imprint. And the other thing, and this is absolutely true, and I find myself way too giddy happy in most instances, even when I have had not enough sleep, and that is this whole law of positive attraction. I'm going to ruin it for some people because there is this unfortunate youthful disdain for anything that has to do with religion. But in all your major religions, there is this obligation of forgiveness of other people, of not taking vengeance upon yourself for wrongs done to you, that vengeance belongs to your creator, those sorts of revenge, all that. If you put all that together, it's the law of positive attraction without a kitschy term. No, there's a kitschy term, I guess. It's just a kitschy term that's been used for a couple of thousand years or more, and therefore, the youths or the Utes don't seem to appreciate it because it's been something their parents have been talking about, and that's always corny. And if you try to get inspirational with your kids, for some unknown, ridiculous reason, they are turned off by it, mostly because you're their parents, and here we go with another lecture kind of a thing is their attitude. Maybe it's best not to try so hard to inspire your kids. They're never going to look at you as some nationally known motivational speaker in 99% of the cases. And if they do, be afraid, check their head for 3 6s, because it's an anomaly. But it's in the Word of God, for lack of a better term. And all your major religions have recorded it. All this thing about forgiveness, don't seek revenge, let God take care of that sort of a thing. It is a direct aspect of this, because you can't be truly focused on positive things. You can't draw positive stuff to you. All the winning success, the financial rewards, the big house, all the things that the secret tells you to imagine. If your mind is preoccupied with the negativity that wells frustration and anger and rage up in you to take revenge, or to see something bad happen to those who've done bad things to you. If your mind is preoccupied on anything, whatever it is, that's what you will draw more to yourself. And it makes sense. It's not magic. It's not wizardry. It's the reality of common sense. If you are thinking about a particular type of thing, whatever that is, you will subconsciously begin to behave in ways or move yourself physically, emotionally, intellectually in positions to have that. That's how everything works. I mean, you notice it yourself. Simple ways to examine this, and I say this to everybody. If you've ever carried something very fragile, especially when you were younger, because you were much more susceptible to this when you were younger, and if only people had trained you to stop thinking about how much someone disrespected you or how mad you were that you got in trouble, you would have done so far better. But it's a learning process, and trust me, this is a lot harder than it sounds just to think about positive things all the time. You have to start in small increments. But as you were walking, carrying that very fragile, delicate thing, if you kept worrying to yourself, I hope I don't drop this, I hope I don't drop this, you are, in essence, thinking about dropping it. And I had at least an incident or two where when I was so worried about dropping something, you bumped your other hand, you bumped your elbow on something, you lost your focus for a moment, you slipped because you were so preoccupied in thinking about the negative, you made yourself higher susceptibility to dropping it. That's why we should not carry a grudge. That's why it's important to let things go. If nothing else, block it out of your mind. Learn to put away those things that make you angry and learn to focus on the things that make you happy. Count your blessings. Again, there's another thing. This whole law of positive attraction is an awesome concept. Some people have rejected it. There's nothing to reject about it. There are thousands of years, and for those who believe, the Word of God that backs it up. And it's been written down already before. In fact, the entire holy book of Christianity, and to a large extent even Judaism and Islam, it's focused on letting God worry about all the negatives and all the potential doom and failure, and telling you to keep your faith, your focus, on all the great things that you want and that you feel you should have for your family, for yourself, and for everyone else. Is that not a genius concept? Is it not a revelation to anybody else that is not something that's new? It's not a junk science. It's not a bit of hokiness. I mean, that's reality. That's where we are. And as we are parked atop this gorgeous facility here, I have to tell you, even though it is not a sunrise, it's just really pretty scenery. Where else are you going to get stuff like that? It's the Eric Von Wade Show. Please share and share this on Facebook. We certainly would appreciate that. Twitter and any other social media that you have the opportunity to share this live broadcast on. And we'll do this up for you. We'll have some special guests. I do have an agreement, a verbal agreement from Pepe Serna to be a guest on the show. So I'm hoping that we'll get you guys going and have more subscriptions. You got to subscribe to this, and that way it'll let you know when we get ready to do it that we're there. We've already got a great sponsorship for this show, and I'll be talking to you about Master Optical Eyewear. Awesome stuff. I've got some no-line bifocals that I'm going to get, and I got some great sunglasses that look really cool, although it's a little dark for that at the moment. There is the Corpus Christi Cathedral behind me in most of Corpus Christi, Texas. You can see out that direction with all those beautiful lights. I gotta put my little glasses on that I have now for a good view, but although it's a little grainy because of the low light, I gotta tell you, that's just a gorgeous view. And then of course, this view here is one of my favorites still. I have a page for those of you who might want to look at some of my photography, and it is up for sale too. You can find that at it's ericvonwade.zenfolio.com. And Zenfolio, by the way, a great source for photographers, or people who want to sell their photographic imagery and videos. You can set it up, and once you get it going, customize a web page. And then here's the great thing about this: when people, if they want to buy something, you can set your price range. They kind of help you out with that, and then on top of it, they'll do it all for you, collect the money, and then all you have to do is promote yourself, which is important to do. You're going to have to spend a little time getting your website out there, but it is a great bit of help. And they had a great, 45-minute coaching session that I was a part of, and it was absolutely fantastic. Answered every question I had. They were super helpful. So zenfolio.com is one of my recommendations. If you're a photographer or a videographer, and maybe you have a lot of stock photo sitting around, and you're wondering, what do I do with this? Well, for 20 bucks a month, which is the special I think I took advantage of, but there's a number of prices that are very affordable in that price range. You can get all of that, and you don't have to build a website. You don't have to do those other sorts of things, and it's a great way to get it up and going. Now, I mean, certainly, I don't want to run any more business off from coders or web developers. So, if indeed you want to have a more customized website, I'm sure that there's some people out there. I've got a good guy that works for me that would be more than happy to help you out. But for a quick and very professional looking setup, it's hard to beat zenfolio.com. That's Z-E-N Folio, Zenfolio, F-O. If I type it out, it'll come out, but I promise you, you can do one little trick, by the way, I've thrown in. Do a voice to text. If you're unsure about how to spell something, it's one way to give yourself a little bit of a quick edge in spelling something correctly. If you say it, especially if it's a website that's fairly popular or that's been utilized before, then it'll catch it and spell it for you, and then you're ready to go. So, and then not only that, but even if you're just texting or messaging, do a little proofreading, because even though it may not be the end-all be-all of intelligence, which spelling is not, it certainly doesn't hurt when there's no distraction from your message because of a misspelled word. I make those mistakes from time to time. I kick myself, grit my teeth when I do it, because it's painful. I don't like to do it. It's one of my things I hate doing it, but it may happen. So if it does, you can, little trick to avoid that. You don't know how to spell something, instead of stressing over it, try your voice to text. Google is getting actually pretty good at voice to text. And I think that this sunrise is not going to be all that exciting, so we may go ahead and go to the office so I can show some of you that if you haven't seen it before. But we're going to be out live on location on a number of days. It's a little dark, and you may not want to see me in the dark, but that is a pretty sight. And when we do have some gorgeous sunrises, there's nothing that beats this. I'm telling you, you will see this. You stick with us. We never know what morning it's going to be. Now that I'm about ready to go, I see some pink in the sky. So maybe we wait just a little bit longer, if you can bear with me. Then we'll go into the office. I'll get my camera out, because literally things change within seconds. And if you're, people ask if I'm a photographer, and I continue to tell them, well, kind of, not really. Yeah, I am. I'm just going to go ahead and own it, because I love taking beautiful pictures. And I also apparently turn into one of the Kennedys with an accent there for some particular strange reason. But I'll set you down here. This is, I'll turn the camera around too, so that way we can follow this live Blair Witch Project type of viewing, which I will try to minimize. But they don't make it, there you go, they don't make it easy for you in many instances. I'll set you up here. So, but yeah, I like taking great pictures. I had planned on just utilizing my photography for the benefit of social media marketing and original content, which is what I still do, but I haven't turned down a photography offer or gig yet, and I seem to keep getting more, and I enjoy it, whatever it is. I mean, I really do enjoy taking pictures regardless of what it is a picture of, and that I know is maybe not the case for everyone. Not every photographer has, I mean, they have the things they like to do, and I get this false encouragement from time to time, especially from women who don't like me taking pictures of other young, beautiful models, when they say, you know, Eric, you may be really good at taking pictures of models, but you're the best at whatever else it is that doesn't involve taking pictures of young models. Look, I mean, I'm equally good at taking pictures of everything I enjoy taking pictures of. So I can't go along with this whole concept of limiting myself to one particular thing or another. And besides that, I'm kind of stubborn. If you tell me I'm really not, I shouldn't do this or that, I have this horrible habit of, now I have to go and do that, and make sure that no one thinks that this is something I can't do. And as much as that may not make all the sense in the world to some people, I think a lot of us would probably do better off if we were driven by people's lack of faith and what our capabilities are, than if we were to be discouraged by it. And unfortunately, in most cases, it seems to me, people get discouraged by other people's lack of faith in them. if you believe yourself to be capable of something, maybe you need a lot of improvement of it. Maybe, maybe they're right about some aspect of it. You don't have to go make a confession to somebody who's trying to stick it to you because they either haters or whatever else it may be. But you certainly shouldn't let that discourage you if you know better. Now, sometimes there are things people just shouldn't do. I mean, I have had this reality, I've seen it played out in front of me before, where I've had people that should not be doing extreme sports, and I like to do some extreme sports, decide that they want to, go skydiving or cave diving or other such stuff. And unfortunately, what they end up doing is, in some cases, ending themselves because they didn't think that, I guess it was important to take note of how many times they had close calls. There were lots of warnings. But then again, I look at it like this. They were full-grown adults. If they wanted to continue to do what they were doing, knowing that they could go out, then better to do that than, I think, living in a restrictive type existence and not ever really feeling the satisfaction of fun that you get when you're doing what you love or doing what you want to do. All right, this sunrise is taking forever, and we can shoot it out the window if necessary, but the window at work's going to be a little dirty, and I'm just going to have to live with that. But yeah, we're going to grab everything and go inside. We'll go up to the offices. I happen to office with some of the most fantastic people on planet Earth in the Cactus Law Firm, and I borrow their boardroom oftentimes to do a live show, only because it's a great-looking boardroom, and because my office is in the process of being redecorated and repurposed. I have, I think, the best view. Smaller office. It's a whole suite that we have there, but it's still a very good office. And I can't wait to show it to you because I think that you will thoroughly appreciate it if you haven't seen it already. Some of you have been with me, and I appreciate that. We've got a lot of things that we will talk about. I can't wait to show you my new shades because, man, they are cool. I'm just saying. Oakley, you guys, I'm giving you a thumbs up on this. Oakley sunglasses. It was hopefully going to be bright enough here anytime soon for me to need them. And it probably will be right about the time I get down to the ground level. All of a sudden now we'll have that fantastic sunrise. One of the things you have to do, hunting and photography, much the same thing. You've got to be patient. You got to be sure of your equipment. You have to have a thorough check. You need to make sure that you have all that, it used to be you had to have extra rolls of film. You don't have to do that anymore. And literally, I've only been a serious photographer since, I guess it's been a year now. Prior to that, I shot on automatic. And it's like, I don't mean to say you're not a serious photographer if you're shooting on automatic, but if you've never put your camera in full manual mode, you are missing out on some things. Because, clouds like this, when you see that, they show up much more significantly at different ranges of exposure, and different apertures give you different effects as well when it comes to taking a picture. I still don't know all the technical jargon because I'm self-taught. I did not go to a formal school or class to learn photography. I didn't watch a video. I talked to one photographer in town primarily who is incredible at helping others to learn how to do what they want to do in the world of photography. He's just an all-around great guy. Michael Castro, for those of you that may know him. And there's a few others, Ted Leal, and just a lot of great people. But it was, it was bits of help like that helped to accelerate me, because I could ask, what do I need to do in this situation? And he would tell you, set your camera like this, do that. And, there was never this sense of, I'm not going to help anybody that might be competition for my photography. There's great things about the art of photography. And the biggest part of that, you do see some pink in the sky and some blue. And it's just a little chilly, and I did not bring a jacket. But you know what? If you're going to take a picture, sometimes you got to be tough. So I may wait just a second. But photography is like painting. It really is. You are not going to run into somebody who is a painter of sorts that everyone says, oh, that's it, he is the best painter, and I'm not going to get a painting from anybody else. No, everybody has a different style. Everybody has a different forte. So the reality is, when it comes to photography, photographers need to lose the ego and inhibition or the resistance to complimenting each other or mentioning or acknowledging that they exist. Because here's the reality. There's so many different varieties of taste. You might be one of the worst photographers ever, and you're still going to accidentally take some great pictures. It may be one every 10,000 photos, but you're going to accidentally take a cool picture. And it may be that you fumbled the camera and it blurred just right, or whoever. Somebody's going to like that, and they're going to want you to screw up some other pictures for them. And they're going to love it because that's what they like. There's enough stuff for everybody. And that's just a worst case scenario. Most people, if you put some effort into it, you're going to take some pretty good pictures after a while. And the nice thing about digital photography, you can't screw it up, okay? I mean, I guess you could if you take the camera open and start trying to jack with it but just working the camera as it was intended to be worked. If you take a bad picture, you can delete it, start all over again. It's not the expense or the difficulty it was when I first started taking pictures as a skydive photographer, and I was doing videography and I was going to add stills to it. That was some work because you still had to take film in. They had digital cameras, but they were too slow, and I think they were like, the biggest one was like 5 megapixels. I had one. It was a Canon CyberShot. It was one of the first ones. It was a nice little compact camera. It ate batteries like there was no tomorrow, though. That thing sucked batteries and spit them out. But it took really good 5 megapixel photographs. And the great thing about it is, don't get preoccupied with megapixels. I've got 42, so it's easy for me to say don't get preoccupied with megapixels. But I had a 10 megapixel camera that took fantastic photographs. And so I do like Sony, and I think Sony's got the best value. People ask me my opinion, and then they want to argue with me. If you want to buy a Canon, if you want to buy a Nikon, then that's fine. Those are all great cameras. I think the best is Sony for a wide range of reasons. But if you don't, that's okay. There is a taste and a flavor for everybody. You get which one you like. I like the Sony because it is the easiest to operate and it's the fastest to shoot. A lot of people have gone crazy for the Fuji, and it's strange because prior to me getting into this serious photography, I thought Fuji were cameras that were entry to mid-range, compact cameras that were best used for tourists and so forth. And that's because that's what was imported. I'm sure in Japan, they probably had a high-end for a long time. Well, now the high-end came over here and it's a medium format, which means it's larger than the 35 millimeter. But for all practical speaking purposes, it still comes down to the lens. And the Sony A7 R2 and the A7 R3, which has improved processors, the image quality on that beat the best body camera and most expensive camera in the world when it was tested a couple of years ago. So that says a lot for that. And the camera that it beat, I think, is like $150,000 for the body alone. That's a dramatic increase over $3,500 for the Sony. Still a lot, but Sony makes a camera that's great for people as well who want to start off and still have 24 megapixels, which is most of what you'll see in the industry. It's still high. And you can get that for $549, just the body. That's an incredible deal. And it'll take all the lenses from the big on down that they use, the E-mount lenses, the ones I use on mine. So with that kind of an opportunity, why wouldn't you take advantage of it and get yourself something that is great quality? Look at that sunrise. See, it's starting to look kind of pretty. I've gotten a few pictures like this before with my camera. And so, should I take... It actually looks... The light gathering here is quite good, but it's raised my ISO up so high that a photo to capture that would be quite grainy, just as you kind of see a little bit of the grain here. Corpus Christi, Texas. It's an awfully pretty view. If I hadn't left so early this morning and hadn't started right on time, we probably would catch this sunrise easier. And I could still see it from my office, but it's not as convenient as... and it's not as unobstructed, I guess I should say, as this is right here. And that's it's a pretty unobstructed view. If I put my little glasses on, I can see. Love the cloud definition of modeling. Love that amber look and the twin steeples that are juxtaposed there off to one side. Makes for a great spot. And you know, until I started taking pictures from this vantage point, I hadn't really seen a whole lot of photos from this vantage point. And one of the things I like to pride myself on is taking photos maybe from angles and vantage points that other people haven't. My idea of photography that sets it apart from everything else, it's all about the angles, which is something most people, I'll give you this tip right now, even a lot of photographers don't do. And I'll explain it like this. And I don't know that this is going to get all that fantastic, and I'm getting chilly, and I kind of want to go in and get some coffee or water. So we may be going to the office here. I'll take you with me on our walk down the ramp. But most people don't want to get on the ground. Everybody wants to shoot from that standard position of standing upright. Well, for one, it's a lot more comfortable to lay down on the ground, as long as it's not dirty. But the other is that you cannot always get the best view if you don't move your position around. And everybody else shoots from that plain, static, flat position anyway. You know, try different stuff. Angles make the difference. And although women oftentimes love to take the selfie from this position, that's the worst. Well, for a photographer. If you're taking a picture of yourself, it's great. But if you're going and making your way through other such things, then you want to try a different position. And good morning. I promise I'm not nuts. I do a live broadcast. I'm talking to myself here, if that's why. Okay. Are you bringing donuts?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And kolaches.
Oh man. Where'd you get those from?
There's a little place in Odom.
They have the best place there, actually. And
It's called Donuts Palace. Really nice people.
My parents live in Sinton, and I go through from time to time. But yeah, well, I'm gonna have to come to work when you come to work. So bringing donuts.
Actually, we just got shut down, so we're just coming in for our 4 hours to shut down the building.
My goodness.
Federal government.
Well, there you go. The fun government shutdowns that we have.
Boys.
Yeah.
Will be boys.
Well, you know, hopefully they'll work that out soon, though. It's
Last time it was 2 weeks.
Yeah. The furlough and the government shutdown is, but it affects everybody pretty quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, because you guys aren't getting paid, then other people don't get paid. I've had tons of advertisers in the past that have been like, furlough's kind of slowing everything down for us, so.
People that are retired don't get paid, you know, insurance, it becomes crazy.
And here's the thing, it's like we just had all this cold weather where if you had to stay at home, it would have been great. Now that the weather is good, it gets great.
The only reason we come in is somebody dies.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I gotta say, hopefully that doesn't happen, but...
Somebody collecting the donuts for our last day.
Right. So, well, I'm jealous, but then again, you guys are... You need
a job.
Yes, exactly. So, oh man. Well, it looked like we might have a pretty sunrise.
It's supposed to be really pretty weather this week.
But I think tomorrow may be the better day. So I'll get the door for you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. And that wet floor, man. I tell you, I got out of my truck the day that it was really, really cold. And I parked on top, and there was a patch of ice right where my truck was. I slipped and ate it, and it was. But I think we can take the service elevator. It's not the fanciest, but I'll. 9, please.
Who do you work for?
I can work for myself, but I have a social media marketing company, Social Media Moguls. But I also I started a manufacturing partnership in Pakistan. And so we make high quality knives, swords, jewelry, leather, and so that's been keeping me busy. But I office in the Cactus Law Firm. So.
Cool.
Well, we'll see you. And so as the day proceeds, you meet nice people everywhere. But unfortunately, that poor woman is going to be without pay for a while because of the furlough that's gone on. It seems Donald Trump has. Not been able to make things all nice with Democrats, and you know they didn't love him beforehand, so it's not like it's been the The big surprise. But these things have been part of a trend, I guess, over the last few. How are you doing, sir?
All right, how about you?
Good, good. Over the last few years, everything all right in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me show you what I did.
Oh, would you? Okay.
I didn't even know you worked here.
This
I
is.
talked to you the last time up there.
Yes. I'm doing a live show, just so you know. It's what I do. And
You're the one who was up on top of that parking.
yes. And they were like, "What? You want to know what I was doing up there?" Yeah. I was like,
"100 goes, I'm gonna fell over." But this one I did over here.
Okay. Oh man.
I gotta paint this. I gotta paint this coming weekend.
You did fantastic with this, though.
That's the door.
Oh, you know what?
We're gonna put a lock on there here in a little while as soon as it gets here.
You did great work.
Yeah.
I mean, that is really nice. You did that fast.
I was here 12 hours yesterday.
Well, I mean, yeah. So it seems fast to me, but
Let me show
okay.
you, because that way they'll know. These doors, you can't open them one at a time. You gotta open them either both at the same time.
Okay. Or
What
not.
happens is, okay.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So-
It'll hang on that.
Right.
All right. I will explain that to them when
I'm
they.
gonna get a bit so I can put this on there. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it close.
But this is like those old-fashioned doors.
It's called a Dutch door.
The Dutch door. The nice thing about it is you made it at a good height so that.
Well, that's what she wanted it way up here. I said, man, that's too high.
Because if you put it too low, it's like that
jump
Chevy
over.
Chase did a Funny Farm thing.
Exactly.
Or the Three
Okay,
Stooges.
We're fixing to put a lock on here before.
Okay.
Anyway, a little bit here. Then I'm gonna drill this so that stays.
That
locked.
is perfect. Well, that's great because, this is really the back offices where we don't want people wandering in and out, right? And
And
so,
then it's only gonna go this far because it's gonna hit the trim, so tell
Okay.
them not to force it open.
do you think we can get one of those little stopper
I
things?
don't know if it's gonna stop it because it's hitting the front. It's gonna hit the
Oh,
trim.
I was thinking we maybe have one there, but I don't know if there's.
You know what? I can probably put it here.
Because I think that might catch it right there if we
It's
did.
gonna go there. It might. It might be close.
It might be just enough at the very least so that if it goes a little too far, it doesn't do that much damage,
Maybe I have to put a block or something behind there too, and then the stop.
I was going to say, yeah, or you know what might, you could actually put the stop on maybe on there, and then, just a little spacer behind
Put
it.
a little block on
Yeah.
That'll work. That'll work for sure.
Either way,
But that's as far because you don't want to go in too far because it's gonna
Yep.
into the trim all the time.
But I think that's great.
But we're gonna put a lock on there, and this coming weekend I'll go ahead and paint it.
Hey, that is fantastic. I had one other question. I keep forgetting to ask you guys if you can do this. But on our blinds in here, we have, on this one back, there's it's missing or somebody, when we moved in, it wasn't there, but the adjustment rod. I didn't know if you could replace
It's
that.
not broken off. That's probably why it's off.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if they can fix that or if they could, but either way,
If it broke off, we
you can't, nothing you
have
do
to
about
buy
it.
a new blind. And
Yeah,
it's
that's ridiculous, yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
I hear you. Well,
Anyway,
thank
he should be here in a little bit. So you can put the lock
Okay.
on there, and then if I don't see or whatever,
Okay.
I had a particle door I couldn't use, so it falls apart.
Yeah.
This is all solid wood.
So that's good. Well, this is just.
Oh, it's
oh,
I mean,
that's excellent.
she might wonder why is it in the well, because I couldn't use that core. It just
Yeah.
falls apart.
Well, this is better anyway. You did.
And I'll paint it this weekend, this coming
Okay.
weekend, because I don't want to stay during the week anymore. Because
Yeah,
we've been
yeah.
kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, it's been a crazy week with the freezing cold. And
Yeah.
I was just saying I parked in the one spot where there was ice on the top before.
Oh, man.
I didn't notice it. I got out and I slipped and ate it so
man.
big time while I was in the middle of a live broadcast. So
Well, see, the thing is that they say, well, it's going to leak. I said, that's not that it leaks.
yeah,
They sweat.
yeah, that's exactly
People,
what
a
it
lot
is.
of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Concrete sweats.
It does. And-
Well, let's go seal the very top roof. I said, it doesn't matter. It's still going to sweat. I don't
Right.
understand what I'm telling you. But it's hard. They're kind of hard sometimes to
Yeah.
dog it,
Well, George, I appreciate it, man.
Hey,
You
no
did some
problem.
great
Your
work.
name-
Thank you.
You told me your name, but
Eric Von Wade.
Okay.
And if you need anything, you can always holler at me. I'm usually here before they come in.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
so from 6 to 9, I do a live broadcast here. And so we got to see some of the handiwork of George with the Wilson Plaza building.
I got you.
Did a great job with this door.
And why did you
And-
say paint it this coming weekend?
hey, yeah. I mean, I appreciate that. You were up here early, obviously.
I got to do it before 8 o'clock.
Oh, man. Well, George.
We're gonna put the lock here in a little bit.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
And
Boy.
yeah, I sell these. So
Oh, you sell
yeah,
those?
these are all handmade from
man.
Pakistan. We have a partnership over there. We manufacture tons of stuff, but this is one of those things. It's my one. I like to carry
What are these
them.
run for?
But I mean, we have all sorts of different sizes. I mean, if you hog hunt or if just clearing brush and stuff, bow hunting. And besides that, it just looks good.
Yeah, that's
but these
what
are
I'm
all full tank construction from the people who invented Damascus steel. So, but this normally, if you had this made here in the U.S.
Yeah.
by somebody, it'd be like $1,500 would be a regular.
Yeah.
$325. We offer for $325.
You know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
Rambo.
Yeah, well,
You always carry the knife.
we have one that looks very much like that too. So I appreciate it, George.
I'll be back in a little bit. We're gonna put the lock on her.
All right, sounds good.
Sure. Thank you.
And although it feels like I'm marketing all the time, if somebody's asking, you can't not tell them about your business. I mean, there's one thing I have noticed, and this is where many people, including myself, have made mistakes in the past: misplaced humility. Nobody will probably ever accuse me of misplaced humility, I'm sure, because they love to give me a hard time. My ego is really for show and fun. I think it's funny, especially at this particular stage in life, because there's nothing I enjoy more than the irritation, in particular of women who are friends of mine, that think I have an out-of-control ego. It's really not. It's meant for comedy. But there are many people who are not finding the success that they should in life, in their business, because they're failing to capitalize on opportunities, invitations, if you will, to market yourself. If somebody asks about what you do, and of course, since I am in the cutlery business, I'm gonna carry a knife, and carry a knife that I make. And so, if you're in that business, you should talk about it if somebody makes note of it. So there was an opportunity. George has got some craftsmanship, though. I'm impressed. He knows how to, I mean, there was no door there at all, nor a door setup. He built that whole thing. We could examine his work in a second. I was taking note of it. He did a great job. Please share this live broadcast if you haven't already. I'm sure it'll take a while for things to catch on, especially since I know that there is a lot of people that were much like myself not that long ago. If you haven't used a social media outlet before, then like YouTube or Google Plus, by the way, if you've got a Google email, and almost everybody does, if you don't, it's easy to get. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and there's a lot of benefits to it. I highly encourage you to utilize it. I have just recently discovered that Google Plus has a lot more advantages to it than I once thought. It looks and functions a lot like Facebook used to years ago in the way that it's laid out. Not to say that it's outdated at all, because it does have a lot of advantages that your other social media may not. First of all, it's Google, so it is tied into everything that Google is tied into, which is everything. I mean, Google is everywhere these days. If you haven't been aware of this, I don't know where you've been. But Google is everywhere. And not only that, Google has advantages to your business. And if you haven't registered your business with Google, I highly recommend you do that, because it'll make sure that people actually find you in the ways that you think that they will. I mean, people get on Google and they search for whatever it is that they're looking for. You want to have a business that you see having the success that you want, because nobody looks at the yellow pages anymore. That's a long desk and quite a nice table, by the way. And there's a Zoom. I see what it does. Okay, so we have a Zoom, and we have the regular. Got all sorts of views here for you. But if you haven't registered your business with Google, and if you don't know if you have, that means you haven't, because you would remember if you did. And so you can do a Google search on how I can register my business with Google. And they'll either call you on the phone number that you have registered, if you're in a business that's been established for quite some time, or they will send you a postcard, and with that you'll get a code that you can punch in, and it'll establish your business. So then you're good to go. And then from that, there's a few other things you can do too. We'll give you some tips on that as we go along. But I tell you, when you subscribe to this, then you'll also be able to see some of the other things that I have here that are very useful for business, and you can watch those channels too. There's some other guys I just discovered, and I will share those with you. These guys are kind of witty. They bring all sorts of great tips to you as far as what you can do in order to benefit from YouTube, and what all advantages there are there. This is actually a far better format than what I was so excited about with Facebook. Facebook could have done the YouTube thing, but apparently they didn't. And now their model that brought them record revenues this last year of eliminating, restricting that organic growth. And it's going to go further than that too, by the way. There was an interview and a statement from Facebook saying that you are only getting about 6.5% exposure from the connections that you already have. 6.5, not a lot. And they said you could expect it to go to 0. And so Liz Hawkins says that high quality, absolutely beautiful. If you're having a hard time, it's going to get worse because we have a lot more coming too, by the way. Armory Outfitters USA has I believe, the superior quality manufacturer of knives, period. They also just happen to be in Damascus steel, which was originally referred to as crucible steel. And I think it's iconic in the wedding bands that we're offering. If you haven't seen them, I think I have some of those posted on the Facebook page, which you're going to have to look for because Facebook is not going to give me any organic ability to grow from the connections that I have developed that were part of what we thought were the rules for so long. But, you're two people becoming one, taking their wedding vows. Nothing could be more symbolic of that than Damascus steel. And we actually even had this is not stainless, but we do have Damascus in stainless steel. One other little tidbit for those of you, if you want to protect a blade of any sort, or any metal for that matter, from corrosion or rust, which all Damascus steel will rust at some point in time if you leave it out in the elements. I mean, it's a high carbon steel, and it was developed as a means by which to make a better blade. And of course, at the time when Damascus steel was developed, the blade was everything. We certainly didn't have a bunch of mamby-pamby people trying to restrict people's access to cutlery, and we didn't have bans on advertising it. In fact, if anything, blacksmiths and people who were swordsmiths were in high demand and highly respected and appreciated, as they should be, because there's an artwork to this, regardless of what CNC machining or other advancements one has. You have to have a certain degree of experience in blending two steels together and creating a very high carbon content or a hardness, because you're getting two different types of personality too in some of our Damascus steels, where you have a flexibility with one and a hardness in the other. So it has edge holding ability, and yet it is flexible enough so that it does not break and it's not brittle. Those sorts of things make a world of difference. And Frog Lube. If you haven't heard of it yet, you can Google these guys. Frog Lube, I'm giving them a free plug here, is a protectant that it was designed for firearms, and it works great for those as well if you apply it correctly. And everybody that I've heard say it didn't work was doing something else. One, you have to eliminate, and they have a great degreaser, eliminate all other oils, petroleum-based products that may be on your firearm or blade. You got to completely clean it. They send the stuff to you. The great thing about the Frog Lube is, in addition to how well it works, is that there is no harsh toxicity to it. There's no odor. In fact, it's completely green. It doesn't get any greener than Frog Lube, in fact. Allegedly, you could eat it, and it would taste a little minty, and that's about it. So no toxicity, and you can read the label for yourself and see, but it's not harmful to the environment. There's no poisons. Those are not big worries or concerns of my part, other than I do prefer not to have to smell strong odor of cleanser or chemical. And it's nice to know also, if you're going to put it on a knife, that it's not going to cause you any illness or sickness if you happen to cut something with it that you're going to eat. But Frog Lube, it's a little bit involved. It's not simply a spray. You got to, like I said, degrease and de-oil everything for your firearm or your blade, and then heat it. I use a hairdryer until, I like to get it till where it's pretty hot. You're not going to get it so hot with a hairdryer that you're going to destroy the temper. And you have to be careful when it comes to knives, because if you're dealing with us anyway, and quality blades, there's a tempering process. So when this is heated and then cooled, heated and cooled, there's usually a process, a series of that, and dipped in oil baths or water baths or a combination of that in the process. They have their own developed generational process of tempering that gives the steel its personality. That, in fact, tempering can take some of the steels that have been around for quite some time that may not be considered some of the most high-speed designer steels and make them perform better than some others who don't have a superior tempering process. But the hairdryer, I don't believe is creating enough heat to create that problem, but it does cause the steel to expand. And frog lube, when you put it on, it flows. It's like wax, or it melts actually more like butter. It's like green butter. Once you've covered your entire blade with it, it bonds at a micro level, and it fills in all those little places in which moisture would begin to cause corrosion. Now, on my rifles that I've used, I really stopped having to worry about cleaning them, because I mean I certainly do clean them to a certain degree, but the rust, corrosion, or pitting problems, even down the bore, I've stopped worrying about. So I figured if it was good enough for the AR-15 or the M4, it certainly was good enough to try on my own personal blade that I carry with me. Hey, that's a 10-inch blade, by the way. So I've done that, and I have to tell you, this thing has been around all sorts of moisture. There have been earlier signs without any protective coating on it. Oil is something you can certainly put on it that works. WD-40 is a great way to touch it up, but it doesn't linger on a blade as well as it should. WD-40, by the way, is designed to displace water. It stands for Water Displacement 40. It was the 40th attempt at formula to do so. Anyway, it's not designed as a great lubricant for firearms, and it should only be used in certain limited ways. But on blades and steel, it's a pretty good way of a quick protectant. But not like frog lube is the thing that's waterproof and condition proof. You are going to wear that off though as you sharpen the blade, because that's where you're grinding metal away to create an edge, and you may have to retouch up that little bit from time to time. But they have a great package, frog lube. You can look for them. I'll try and make sure and put a link to that here when we're done with this broadcast. There may be a way to do it ahead of time. I haven't figured that out quite yet, because this is my first YouTube experience. But we'll be doing this daily from 6 to 9, and I'm so glad you guys have joined us. And I'm talking about a few different things today. What's wrong with people? Well, sometimes there's nothing wrong with people. Sometimes they just disagree. But I think there's a lot of things in society and in personal relationships could be made a whole lot better if we just started taking into consideration the perspective of someone else. The mere consideration of perspective makes a world of difference. Why? Because you're making an effort. If you don't make an effort, then you're not getting anywhere. All right, effort. People give effort a lot of credit, and I don't know if you've noticed this or not before, but generally, if people try to consider other people's feelings, other people's situations, then they usually can avoid a lot of misunderstandings, problems, conflicts, and fights. And good morning, Lana, by the way. I see that we have Lana Kirkland is joined on. Please share this on your Facebook, because they certainly are not allowing me to do that, and they probably won't allow you to do it for much longer than a few minutes, but every few minutes helps. And you're not going to get in any trouble. They're not going to put you in Facebook jail, but tag your friends and share that, if you will, be part of the Von Wade Brigade. And I say this again to those who I have included in that group. Try to use that only for mass distribution of important things. If you've got an item, an article, or something. But when it comes to communication, if you want to communicate with somebody who has posted something, then do that directly with them. Because if you do it within the group, what ends up happening, this is a problem with all groups, is that the notifications become an irritant, and people don't. In fact, even I can tell you, it's not always the easiest thing to find how to mute that conversation. Sometimes, and with some applications, it'll automatically prompt you, so that it's very easy. If you want to mute it, you can do so. And I think that would be one of the big improvements that Facebook could make with the groups, is because, okay, there's a discussion going on. I don't have time to get in on it. I might want to go back and read it later, but I don't want to keep getting those notifications. So a way to at least give you silent notifications, or mute it altogether for 15 minutes, half an hour, would be a big help. That said, yes, we do have an Eric Von Wade Life360 group, and I appreciate if you want to join it, please join it. I closed the group so that way it would be somewhat special. And in addition to that, also maybe help to avoid Facebook and their tyrant-like intolerance of totalitarian need and control to stifle anybody's organic growth unless you're paying for it. And then again, of course, they're going to stifle any and all ability for me to market or advertise knives. Again, it's amazing to me the world that we live in. I've used knives and carried a pocket knife since I was in the 2nd grade and on throughout high school. And then, of course, gangs and other criminal elements created a situation in which now even the good kids, people who were not ever going to start a fight, people carried kids in high school, carried knives to school since the beginning of school. They got in trouble if they used it inappropriately, and there was a whole world of trouble that come down on them if they did. But yeah, you have people who act up inappropriately with it from time to time, but that was a rarity. And now, of course, the standard is set to treat everyone by the same standards that you treat the criminals or the people who act up. Those people that cause unrest. What's the matter with people? They're afraid because the people that don't cause trouble are never the ones that cause trouble. That seems redundant. But what do I mean by that? Okay. As an example, almost everybody who has a business in which you employ people, like pizza delivery guys, there's a whole lot of horrible things that have happened to pizza delivery guys. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but they get robbed, they've been murdered, they've been raped, everything you can possibly imagine, captured and tortured. Same thing with delivery, convenience store people. Yet every single one of the employers will tell you, regardless of their position, that their insurance won't cover them if they allow these individuals, even if they're licensed concealed carry or open carry holders, they have a license to carry a gun. They can't let them because then their insurance will be voided, which to me seems to have left out a very obvious. That is, well, what about denying them their right, and what happens to them then? If they're raped, robbed, murdered, tortured, whatever it may be that's happened to pizza delivery guys or convenience store guys, what happens then? The people who own the businesses are telling you the truth. Insurance is operated that way. What hasn't happened is somebody having successful lawsuits in which it is feasible they could have defended themselves had their constitutional rights of self-defense and specifically their Second Amendment right not been violated or hindered because insurance wouldn't allow a business to operate with the necessity of insurance if they gave people their full constitutional rights. Sadly, it's kind of the same thing as people who make the country run, people who pay taxes, people who employ people, are very influential when it comes to an election. But in between, they're not out protesting. They're not out getting news coverage. And so with that, they're oftentimes working against themselves. I have a flexible schedule. So yes, if I wanted to get out and protest, I could do so. In fact, the one protest, the only one that I've ever, rally, protest that I've ever organized was incredibly successful. In the days in which organic growth was something that was facilitated by Facebook. It was the first Tea Party in 2009, I think, or 2010. And we held one here. They were held across the country. But we started inviting people, and they came from all over the place. The basic premise, which it's changed somewhat, but united a lot of people of all different political backgrounds, it was this: that we didn't want to see any more higher taxes, and that with this new election of a president that everybody thought was very charismatic and the like, and great speaker, but he campaigned on stopping these tax increases and big spending government. And the first thing that was happening was big spending government. And it just goes, as I've said before, it's rarely about really changing things. It's more about whose people are in power doing the things that the last group was doing. There's just a shift of who's doing it, even though they may talk a good game. That's not pessimism, that's reality. And so there were a lot of folks that showed up. We had something like 1,400 people sign in at a place where most people missed it. I didn't even sign in. And we did 4 hours of a live broadcast on radio from the Bayfront, in which, I mean, we had a pretty cool idea. Obviously, a lot of other people thought it was a cool idea too. We found some burlap sacks. We filled them with old soda bottles, the 2-liter soda bottles. Closed the lid; they were empty, and so it was, it was buoyant. And then we had black spray paint, and we stenciled in Old English T on the side of it. And then we kept a line of tether to the bag, made out of burlap too, so it kind of blended in. And we would give everybody the opportunity for a photo op to throw the bag into the bay like the original Tea Party of the American Revolution, and then we'd reel it in. And so, of course, all the haters, againers, and fans of the current administration at that time tried to accuse us of everything under the sun. From, we're littering the bay. No, in fact, even the story made clear the fact that we went to the full extent of appeasement in anticipation of just such an a lurid accusation, and made note of the fact that not only did we collect these bottles, but they were then turned into recycling afterward, so that there was no waste and that there was no trash even to pick up. And here's the amazing thing. We asked everybody to pick up after themselves, and even if it wasn't their trash, to help pick that up from that tea party, and that's exactly what they did. That was the cleanest marina and bayfront event I think we've ever had. Everybody picked up all their trash, and we had a crowd that was just amazingly enthusiastic. I had some fun. In addition to chanting "No more taxes" or whatever else it was that we were doing, I just started the Attica chant just because, and they were doing it. It was like electrifying. One of the best crowd experiences I've ever had. And I mean, I'm German. We're good with crowds, so to speak. So, that's what we do. But it was a blast. And I tell you, if you have not been to an event in which, people of all different backgrounds, all different religions and ethnicities. I know I had friends of mine there that were Muslim, Christian, and Protestant, Catholic, Hindu. Maybe only one person that was Hindu that I'm aware of. I think there was a Buddhist as well, if I'm not mistaken. But even though there may not have been equal proportions of some of all the world's religions, they certainly were represented there, and the ethnicity was definitely diverse. We had Hispanic, Black, White, Asian. I'm trying to think if there was something else that I could have taken note of at that particular point in time. But Indian, from India. And it was just absolutely a blast. It was so much fun to meet that many people. And then, of course, we had a number of guest speakers. And I thought at the time to myself, man, this is difficult to remember I'm on the radio, because I just want to start talking with people one-on-one, which was okay because we're on the radio. Even better if we'd have done it now, though. I don't believe back then there was quite the advancement and technology that we have with our YouTube channel and the things we're doing now. If we ever did something like that again, which I'm sure we will of some sort, it'll be great. The only thing now is that everybody is trying to get in on the game, and you no longer have, at least with that social media platform, the ability to connect organically. And Facebook claims that it's part of the problem with the proliferation of people that are on it. But I can tell you from my firsthand observation that that's not really the case. It is now a situation in which they had many people accustomed to, I'm sure some of it, to some degree that has to be true, but to a large degree you can see the difference in the beginnings of things if you start a Facebook Live regularity to where it goes if you don't. And then of course the punitive and juvenile actions if you disagree with them, respectfully disagree with them, and protest whatever element of it is that you've noticed or disapprove of. Those sorts of things are, I think, what's going to run people off of it, and it's a sad thing. Facebook's not going to go away anytime soon, but they may have started the beginning of the end in irritating people like myself who don't agree with the liberal political opinions, but certainly, if you're going to run a business, you can't start excluding that. They seem to think otherwise. And yeah, it may be popular elsewhere. I've discovered, as again, something I'm going to start utilizing more, and that's Google+. When it first came about, it seemed not that exciting. But what I have noticed is that it appears it's I don't know, there's a more business-minded demographic, I suppose you could say, but also it has made some advancements, and there's a lot more freedom there. And they actually allow the promotion and search for groups that like to shoot or hunt or talk about custom-made knives and knife quality. Google Plus and YouTube both allow a lot more of that. In fact, it appears, we'll see, I placed my first ad for the cutlery business on Google, and they would not allow you to use the word knife in the commercial and the wording for it. But blade was all right. Cutlery was okay. As much as I think it's ridiculous you can't say knife, how that became a bad word, I don't know, because it's used by just about everybody for everything from things that you use to spread butter with, to what you prepare dinner with, to what you eat, with your steak. Whatever. As long as the rest of it was approved, pretty sure everybody's going to know what I'm offering when I say cutlery, Damascus steel, blades of every sort. I always thought blade might have been the more sensitive word, but apparently not. So it's a great pointer too. It's like over there, over here, as long as it's not in anybody's face for real. So always want to be safe and careful with things. But I'm looking at talking to a woman just this morning on the way in, and this is a real life aspect of what we do. She's coming in because they're about to shut down. Government business, the furlough is affecting them, and and I encourage all of you to start sharing, and I hope you will do that and subscribe to this. But the government furlough is going to affect some people for a while, and it's going to have to get tight as always before we see any dramatic change or immediate change. Why? Well, it's a standoff on budget issues and political issues more than anything else. But there are legitimate concerns. There's only so much money to go around. And I don't know if people understand this. I know that they probably do, but they don't want to get it. We all want everything that we can possibly have. Granted, right? But there's only so much money to go around. And we get that money by taking it from other people. Taxes. Okay? How much... and everybody wants somebody else to pay the taxes. That's the reality of it. Everybody wants somebody else to pay the taxes. That's not reasonable or logical, though. And I have to say, it seems to me that as long as we are living in the world of reality, if we don't want to go the way of Greece, who had their economy implode, or Spain, we want to see things grow, we want to see more businesses, we're going to have to do a number of things. One, stop playing politics when we create a venue for marketing a business like knives, where now we're going to hinder people and say this is the land of the free, home of the brave. If you're opening up yourself as a public venue, unless we have somebody violating the rights of others, do business with people who want to do business. If you're into marketing, I'm not going to turn somebody down from doing the absolute best in marketing their company if I don't like their politics. That's irrelevant. The best, most persuasive arguments will win regardless of whether you want to profit from it or not. So stifling somebody else's business is absolutely absurd. Scott Allen, thank you as well. I appreciate it. Please share this because Facebook won't let me do it. I have a knife business, and I also had a lot of organic success without paying them. So, that became a big problem for them. And as I was sending invitations out last night, I was amazed I was able to send them to anybody at all, because they stopped me and gave me on Facebook the notice that I was prohibited from sharing this because it was offensive or abusive was the thing. So apparently my invitation to subscribe to my YouTube channel was too much. In all reality, they should just say, hey, it's competition and we don't want to allow that. But that's, again, part of this dishonest aspect that frustrates me to no end. So please subscribe, and when you do that, then you'll get notifications when I go live. And if you don't want to watch, you don't have to. You can go back and watch at some other point in time. But I think that would be incredibly helpful. And if you would share this and tag your friends that you know might be interested when you share that, I would very much appreciate it. And That way you can help me to get the word out. They'll probably only allow it for a few minutes and then shut it down. That's what they do. Do have a new sponsor though. I got to tell you about this. This is just absolutely outstanding. I've got some new reading glasses. A lot of people call them cheaters. I don't like to call them cheaters. When I wear them, they're called winners. And we don't have to cheat to win. It's the best stuff that wins. But I also got some cool new sunglasses. Thought I'd share these with you. It wasn't bright enough outside yet, although that is a pretty day. Oh, look. They're doing some maintenance on the building. We have a whole bunch of yellow vests out there. Look at that. I wonder what they're going to do. I don't know, but I've never seen them out there like this before. Those would be the guys that would help me get to the top of that roof over there. You see that? That's where I want to go to take pictures because there would be an unobstructed view of the bay and it would be absolutely outstanding. And there's like little windows and stuff at the top of that. So there's got to be some maintenance or some aspect of it up there. The top of that building would be absolutely outstanding. The sunrise wasn't bad, but it's just not stellar. We've had some really pretty sunrises before, and that would be awesome. So, also, you're welcome to send me comments and stuff like that if you'd like. I think I'm going to see show live chat messages. Yes, all right, that's what I want to do. All right, so we're showing all those. So if you want to send me a message or comment, please do that. I appreciate all of you who've taken time to watch this. This is the maiden voyage on YouTube. I'm sure I'll do better with this as I get comfortable with it and how it works. I was familiar and all comfortable with Facebook Live, and then they began what many people warned me about. There's a Russian philosopher, it's usually quoted as an unknown Russian philosopher, that says, it is the truth when it happens to you. Meaning, you really don't ever fully understand what somebody means by something until you've lived that experience. And so, I was warned. A friend of mine, Ed O'Connor, said, hey, I hate to see you just putting all your eggs in the Facebook Live basket because what'll happen is the moment you start getting a lot of followers, they'll start knocking you down and what you're able to, who you're able to reach. Sure enough, it's exactly what they did. And so, as we do this though, I got to tell you, discovered these Oakleys are awesome. They, in fact, I've seen a lot of your major sunglass manufacturers come out with, they still have their classics if you like those because they didn't want to alienate people from that, but they've come out with a whole new updated look. And these are absolutely fantastic. I've done some photography on these over the weekend and even last night as I was out and about. But I love the black on black. Happens to go with my attire at the moment. And I don't know, I feel like I could be, you know, a drummer with this on. Or part of an updated look for Men in Black. I don't know what you think. I kind of like these things. And they come in gold too. It was very difficult to choose between these and the gold ones. But I just thought, as my first pair of new sunglasses in some amount of time that had a particular look, these would go with more things. And they went good with my cowboy hat at the same time. Linda over there at Masters Eyewear Optical did just all the great recommendations you could possibly imagine. And of course, you know, Valentine's Day is coming up. And I'm just saying, they have some of the best looking frames. Versace, I'll be showing you some of those soon too. I had to take photos of all this stuff because, well, for one, I like my pictures and I like taking cool pictures. And two, you know, there's so many different ways to highlight what kind of a look these things have. But I kind of like these. I mean, I like them a lot. They're so lightweight. The great thing about it is their design. They're aerodynamic. If you're riding along on a motorcycle or whatnot, they tend to just hug your face, and comfortably so. They're so lightweight, you don't even really feel them on your face. And these lenses, absolutely fantastic. Soon, here's the other great thing about this. I didn't know they could do this, but they can. Regardless of your prescription, they can put it, I mean, so I'm going to have my bifocals. I can see at a distance fantastically well. No problem whatsoever. But when it comes to things up close, it's a different story. A lot of people tend to have that issue. My shooting, open sights, is still the best it's ever been. My eyesight's sharp at a distance. But one thing that is problematic, and that is not only having enough juice for everything, so I'm going to plug in my spare battery, but it is it's the ability to read up close as you get older. I mean, it is it's always been, I guess, stereotypically one of those things. People have to get so-called cheaters, winners, we'll call them. And Prior to that, I mean, you either had a full magnifying glass type situation. These are really cheap and they scratch easy, but you know, they do the job. It's better than not being able to see at all. The new ones I'm going to have are also Oakley. Oakley's come out with some amazing stuff, not just these great shades, but they've got, I think these are called the Lizards. I believe the Lizard Oakley Lizard. Very tiny frames, but they're titanium, and it's almost like you're not wearing glasses, but they have a no-line bifocal, so I don't have to keep taking them off like this in order to see and put them on my forehead. I can just look straight ahead if I want to see whatever it is, or read down if I want to see something else. So, you know, if you haven't checked these out, you need to go by, talk with Linda or Ram, and at Masters Eyewear Optical. I mean, they've got a great setup there. And of course, if you need glasses for seeing, prescriptions, now's the time to go by and check them out. And here's the thing. They make it so affordable. There's no sense in just having one pair of, you know, you get different sunglasses for different outfits. There are people who don't need glasses who have gotten into the whole, I'm going to wear different frames with different outfits for the look. And there's no reason why you can't do that for your actual prescription lenses as well. And they'll set you up with all that. But I'll have these where I don't have to take them off in order to, and then put on others in order to see, which is very helpful if you're shooting photography, because I don't always use the viewfinder, and so if I'm using the viewfinder, it's adjusted for my sight. I don't have a problem. But when it comes to using the preview window, I'm constantly having to put on a different pair of glasses, and sometimes if it's very bright and sunny, I'm having to put on sunglasses and then also carry with me reading glasses and the rest of it. It's a pain. All that's going to be solved, and I'm excited about it, and so I just thought I would share that with you. But our guys, they've moved. They are now working on something else. It's just all the things that are going on a daily basis out here in the wonderful world that we are in. And as I am here in the Cactus Law office, as well as where I have mine, I can show you mine. I haven't done that yet. There may be new people coming in. We're going to talk more about topical current events as this goes on, but this is my maiden voyage getting the YouTube channel going, and I appreciate all of you who've helped out. It's going to be a little bit of a rebuilding, although the first time we did it on Facebook because they were trying to encourage the use of live before they started charging you. It was just like a great, overwhelming process. YouTube, a little bit different for a lot of folks. Some of you may not be that comfortable with it. Trust me, it gets easier. You're not going to break it. You're not going to mess up and accidentally join a terrorist organization. It's very easy to do the right thing here. In fact, they kind of encourage that. So, drink more water, by the way. Two problems in society today that are almost ubiquitous. One, people do not drink enough water and they're dehydrated. The other is vitamin D deficiency. With all the paranoia that has existed over too much sun and causing cancer, the one thing that has been missed is that sunlight, when not overdone, is actually good for you. People with pigmentation similar to mine need about 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day, and you now have an appropriate amount of vitamin D, which will make you happier and in a better mood. It'll help you to do more things, get better sleep, better rest, everything you possibly want. If you're vitamin D deficient, it can actually put you in a state of very ill health. And so here at the Cactus Law Office, there's a lot of superhero things that go on that, and this is the social media mogul's office as well as the photography office, and now of course the ArmoryOutfittersUSA.com office. This is my desk, as you can see all the great organization that's there, and my view, if I can show you, is really awesome, especially if we have the right color sky. But look at this. Downtown, Julie Brown. I mean, we have Wells Fargo Bank right there, and a number of other things. I've got some friends in the beautiful blue building over there. I don't know what it looks like on the inside, but I mean, the outside of it is great for photos. And oh, this is a territorial map that we we have showing what we own. And so the other thing, I'll say this one more time because I know we've got new viewers. If you are ever in need of a defense attorney, there's no one that can beat my buddy Scott Cactus Lemansky. And there is a special line that you can call when you have them on retainer. If for any reason you've been the victim of injustice, somebody has attempted to besmirch your character, frame you, or you've been mistaken in your identity or blame a cause, you call that number. And it begins in this office. I can't show you much. We'll do it in the dark. But this is the Cactus Law Office main headquarters. When that phone rings, much like the bat phone, then we go into motion. The T3s. These were acquired through auction. They were once a part of some sheriff's department. We have ballistic, bulletproof, stop a 308, armor plate. They'll do 45 miles an hour. They're souped up. I don't know what they did to soup them up. I was unfamiliar with these until I was first presented with them. But they're street legal. They have strobe lights. They can launch flashbangs. There's a place to mount an M60. And although we don't keep that in place, and I don't know, there's probably licensing and laws that would necessitate us doing something different. But nonetheless, these things are bad to the bone. So when that phone rings, after we take on our superhero costumes, these specially designed doors, as you can see there, they're great at this, open up wide. We head that way to the elevators. These things fit in the elevators, and then away we go down to the ground floor, out and about, and to your rescue. That's just part of the fantastic elements in the so-called Batcave. We refer to it as the more like the Captain America Batcave, I suppose, in combination of things. But, I mean, you're not going to find many attorneys that have these ready to go. And so, then when we're called into action, that's what we do. We go to action. And, yeah, this office will soon probably be a place where we do more broadcasting from. We'll get a backdrop. We're going to get some cool scenery. It's going to be awesome. And so I'm happy to have you guys be a part of it. This newly designed door will make sure, when you come up to take care of superhero things, that there is a door that the top part will be open, and I or one of the other fantastic members here will definitely come in and see if we can assist you. One thing I'll say, and I guess this is probably Stacy, Scott's better half, has created. There's like a spiced tea potpourri somewhere here in the office, and it smells absolutely fantastic. By the way, sunrise started to look pretty good. It's a little bit better. It's not, like I said, it's not stellar. We've had some of the most brilliant colors in the last couple of weeks. I have had some great photo opportunities, and I'm sure we'll have some more. Some of the best scenes you guys have had live, because as I'm pulling up, things change very quickly, and lighting is something that happens fast. So appreciate all of you who have received the message and are going to follow this YouTube channel. Appreciate that. And Richard and Jennifer, you guys are awesome. I got to make sure we don't get stuck on all of that. I'm trying to make sure minimize my messenger pop-ups that are happening. And so, yes, I appreciate all of the compliments as well about the knives. I've had like Liz Hawkins, one of my very first customers after launching all of it. Now you can go to the website, purchase right from the website, see some of the things that are there. We'll be adding new inventory here soon as well. And so with all of that, there's almost nothing to miss out on. And almost 8 o'clock here, as we're doing this, we'll continue to do more, I say Monday through Friday, 6 to 9, or somewhere in that ballpark, as we'll have different guests, and we'll have Cassidy Lang from the Ice Rays, we'll have Pepe Serna, and I believe, I need to coordinate this with him, but if not this week, next week, we'll start Fridays where we do a ride-along with Green and Go cabs. And so if you happen to be the one that catches our cab, then there's some prizes for you, different stuff like that you might like. I figure it'll be good. It's always nice to get something cool. And we'll do a number of other things. I meant to get down to the livestock show. Great aspect of people helping youth pay for college education and teaching them a lot of life lessons. 4-H is absolutely phenomenal. And if you have a young person that's interested in getting involved in that, I hope you will take the time to get them involved. The things they learn from that are the kind of perspective consideration things that we're talking about all the time. What causes people to act inappropriately? A lack of conception for other people. And I think that's probably the biggest part of everything that goes wrong in society today, is that people just think only about what they want, when they want it, and they don't think about how that affects other people, or what impact that's going to have, or what perspective other people come from. I mean, that's probably the largest aspect of what's wrong with people, is that they're just self-centered. I hate to say that. We all can be a little bit. It doesn't mean you have to be some sort of a monk, or commit yourself to a life of sacrifice, when simply taking consideration etiquette for others. A little perception checking from time to time. Hey, I was going to do this. Want to make sure you're okay with it. A lot of times people are just happy to be asked. And that effort put forth makes a world of difference. So I stress that again. You want to get along better, have more friends, be happier, start doing things for other people. It's as simple as that. You'll get more of what you want, I promise. Some people are afraid to do that. They're like, well, but I want to do this. Well, okay, that will happen, whatever the other this is, but you got to consider other people. You start helping other people, you'll start helping yourself. And that's the absolute truth. Most people just haven't tried it long enough. I mean, it doesn't happen immediately, oftentimes. Sometimes it does, but it's an aggregate of things. You got to start helping other people. I'm trying to help you out right now by telling you, if you're looking for some shades, these new Oakleys are awesome. And the titanium framed, it's I think it's got a Men in Black look to it. And I don't know, I think they're kind of snazzy. I like them anyway, and that's the most important thing. They've got different styles, designs. They have these in a gold frame as well. I may have to have that as like a second pair. But in the pale state that I am in, not having been out in the sun, probably vitamin D deficient because I've been working on so much digital media, I haven't had a chance to get out. And but yeah, it was a tough choice. It was a tough choice. But Linda over there with Master Eyewear Optical is just, she's great at helping you to decide. I mean, giving you all the possibilities, recommendations. I mean, her honest opinion, took time and effort in helping me make the choice, and then of course also helping me to discover that there's some technology probably a lot of you have known for some time, but I have been living in the world of not wanting to acknowledge that I needed reading glasses. So I've been utilizing some of the inexpensive things that you can pick up at the store, and wasting a lot of money doing that, buying tons of different pair when they have Oakley frames and no line bifocals, so I don't have to take them off to see at a distance, and I don't have a line getting in the way of my vision. They're almost invisible, and yet they give just a little bit of that look of intelligence. You always look a little bit smarter with glasses. But also, they carry Costas and Oakleys, and I can have my no-line bifocals put into these lenses as well. And that's amazing to me, because I always thought, you have the special coating and all these lenses. How are you going to get? You can send it to them, and they will put all their specialty in the lenses that come in the non-prescription onto your prescription lenses that'll fit right here into the frames. I'm excited about that. Nothing like being able to thread a hook if I'm fishing, or make adjustments on my rifle without having to take off my sunglasses and put on reading glasses. I mean, that's just a world of benefit right there. In fact, to be quite honest with you, I don't know how I would be able to make all of the adjustments necessary and shoot in the competitions that I have shot in the past if I had to have sunglasses and another pair of glasses the entire time. I haven't had to do that in a while. But my up-close vision is at a point now where if I don't do that, I'm going to have some issues. So anyway, that said, lots going on. I appreciate that. I see Rodney over there with Marco Electronics is watching too. Rodney, cannot thank you enough. I mean, when it comes to the fantastic photography and all the things you want to do, whether you're an amateur photographer, a casual photographer, or you're going to go full-blown professional photographer, or you just like to have professional amateur gear, it's hard to beat the Sonys. And the Sony mirrorless A7, Marco Electronics can get that for you, as well as the best televisions, installing in a professional manner that looks like the house was built around your entertainment center and your television, more so than the other way around. And so, but they specialize in imagery. One of the things I love about them is again, they know their products. This camera, and this is still, I keep realizing there's people learning all the time. This is the size of the new paradigm in professional cameras and lenses. Now this is my smaller lens. It is the 50 millimeter with Zeiss coating, and it takes beautiful pictures. I have an 85 Sony G Master, which is absolutely fantastic as well. But between these two lenses, there hasn't been a whole lot that I haven't been able to do. But this is absolutely incredible, and I take a lot of the photos with this. It has full manual and full auto adjustment. The Sony a7R II, great camera, amazing at tracking. Once I've pressed this halfway down, the focus button, and locked on to a subject, it will stay focused wherever that subject moves. So it is so much easier to get birds in flight, airplanes, whatever it is that you want to, boats, cars, and to get that photo in focus. Plus, Sony has a gamma log system. Most probably don't know what gamma logs are. May not remember it after this, but gamma logs are the abilities for a system to define things in shadow, in short. So, whereas most of your cameras out there today are operating on a 1998 standard that Adobe updated, or previous to that, they're operating on 1964 standards, which very quickly, once it gets to a certain level of shadow, will show only black. You have no more definition. With this, you get far greater definitions in the shadows, so dark pictures, and you really see the benefit of this in printing, because if you're not printing it, then you're not getting the full benefit. When you print it, that's when you will see, because your social media, even Instagram, which does the best job in a mass social media format of presenting the resolution and quality of a picture, it doesn't give you everything that you would get in a print version, or if you upload it directly to your computer, your laptop, your phone. And so, but having that for the print is incredible, and you'll see the difference when you do that. So Marco Electronics can help explain all this to you. This is kind of like their flagship. They've now come out with the Sony a7R III, which hopefully I may be able to talk to you about from first-hand experience soon. And the upgrades with that are very useful if you're into professional photography. It'll take two memory cards, so you can have one for video, one for stills as an example, or you have two different. You have a modeling shoot with somebody doing a beach bikini theme, and the other is a child's 5th birthday party. You probably don't want them on the same card, so that as you're maybe showing some people or previewing, there's no conflict with all of that. So you can keep those things separated. Also, the color enhancement and so forth is supposed to be updated, and the battery life is supposed to be increased a bit. But either way, the AR2 is fantastic, 42 megapixels, and it does a fantastic job. So I see somebody. Good morning, Eric Von Wade. Somebody's asking a question here that I think I need to answer. How do I do what? And we will see. Sky Molinar says, how do I do that? All right, let me see if I can send a voice to text and see if that makes no, not that way. I have to go here, and then I'll have to try to let her know. I don't know if I can do that. It looks like I can, but everything doesn't crash at the same time. And so I'm doing my live broadcast now, you can simply click on that link. It should take you to my YouTube channel, and then click subscribe. Now, voice to text is not going to work. Too much stuff going on at the same time. Wish I could explain it, but she did get the message, which is nice. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll work now. Let's see. Nope, looks like it's having all sorts of trouble and not going to communicate. Let's see. Follow link. Yep. Let's see. Maybe that will be enough. Hopefully. See, the difficulty is, and this is in the aspect of comfort and familiarity. Not that many people, comparably, have been watching YouTube channels that have also been following me on Facebook and Facebook Live. So it's going to take a little bit more effort, but I certainly appreciate and admire everybody's effort that's been a part of it. It's a great thing to see when people will take that. It's a great compliment, I take anyway, to follow what we've been doing. So I appreciate the comments too, and when you share things on Facebook, it tells me, and I cannot thank you enough for that. So we hopefully will gain a greater following as people figure this out and get going with this on a regular basis. Plus, there's also the aspect of being able to share your experience, and we should be not low battery because I've got the battery pack plugged in, and maybe I let it go too low before I plugged it in. We'll have to see. I maybe need to get a longer cord to plug that in, and I could probably do that. See if that doesn't solve the problem. If not, we may be cutting it a little bit short today until I figure out how to function this a little bit more quickly. But I think that we can get it done, and hopefully before the battery dies, because it's straining as we speak. But if I can plug this in with a better connection, and then